Welcome back to the Explainer for the Foundry by Forge College. Today, we're going to do something really fascinating. We are unrolling the architectural blueprint of the internet to answer a pretty massive question. How exactly did we go from basic, honestly kind of boring websites to the highly addictive, sleep-depriving global networks that we all use today? Well, we're going to look under the hood of the platforms that are currently capturing literally billions of hours of our attention. Let's dive right in. Remember our last explainer on interactive web pages? Well, building on that, it's time to ask what actually happens when those simple, user-driven pages scale up into persistent digital spaces. I mean, we're talking about a massive leap here. We went from just clicking a button to load a static page to entering a living digital ecosystem that learns what you like, remembers your behavior, and frankly, actively tries to keep you from putting your phone down. So, here is our agenda for today. First, we'll look at the interactive social web. 2. The platform blueprint. 3. Engineering viral growth. 4. The algorithmic curator. And 5. The moderation dilemma. Starting with Section 1, the interactive social web, moving from static to persistent spaces. Think about the transition kind of like this. Back in Web 1, you were basically just reading a static flyer pinned to a digital bulletin board. It was read-only. But in Web 2, we entered these stateful, persistent applications. And that's a game changer, because your input, your likes, your follows, your comments, actually builds the platform's architecture. You aren't just a visitor passing through anymore. Every single interaction writes data to the environment. The platform remembers you, and it morphs based on your behavior. Moving on to Section 2, the platform blueprint, the town square, marketplace, and curator. To really understand this, here's the underlying machinery broken down into 3 distinct parts: the town square, the marketplace, and the curator. Think of the town square as your profile and your feed. You know, the place where you actually hang out. The marketplace is the invisible economy running constantly in the background, trading your very scarce attention for likes and shares. And the curator, well, that's like the algorithmic bouncer at the door, carefully selecting exactly which conversations get put right in front of your face. Now, the absolute key element here is this continuous feedback loop. Check this out. If the curator starts favoring, say, really engagement-heavy content, the marketplace financially rewards it. And that, in turn, shifts how everyone behaves back in the town square. If the algorithm decides that angry, sensational videos keep people watching longer, creators are going to start pumping out angry, sensational videos to earn that marketplace value. It's this powerful, self-reinforcing loop that literally modifies human behavior on a mass scale. All right, Section 3, engineering viral growth, pulling people into the square. So the main fuel for this whole growth engine is something called network effects. Basically, it's this idea that the more people who join the network, the more valuable that network becomes for everyone involved. You have direct effects, like how a new messaging app suddenly becomes super useful because all your friends finally downloaded it. And then you have indirect effects, where a massive audience naturally attracts an army of creators, which pretty much guarantees you an endless buffet of fresh content. Now let's look at the actual math behind these viral loops, specifically the K factor. When you have a coefficient greater than 1, you are looking at explosive exponential growth, simply because every new user successfully invites more than one additional user. If you invite 3 friends and they each invite 3 friends, well, your platform isn't just growing, it's multiplying like a digital zombie outbreak. This is the exact metric early social platforms obsessed over to basically take over the world. But, there's a catch to this viral math. A massive K factor with terrible retention, that just gives you a churny, short-term spike. I mean, it really doesn't matter if 10 million people download your app on a Tuesday if 9 million of them get bored and delete it by Thursday, right? The real magic, the sweet spot, is modest virality combined with strong retention. That's what creates sustainable, compound growth over time. Which brings us to Section 4, the algorithmic curator, keeping users in the marketplace. Let's check out the dashboard dials for our algorithmic curator. See, product designers use these hard measurable signals to optimize the platform. Daily active users measures habitual use. Time on platform tracks the depth of your engagement. And let's be real, that equals ad revenue. Virality monitors the growth rate. Retention proves long-term viability, and click-through rate tells the curator if it's successfully baiting you. Every single button shape, every little notification chime, they are heavily tested to turn these specific dials. And the curator feeds on explicit actions, sure, your likes and follows, but it also thrives on implicit signals. And this is where it gets wild. It doesn't just know what you like,
It knows you paused on a specific video for exactly 3.4 seconds before scrolling away. It knows you're doom scrolling on your phone at 2 a.m. It gathers all these invisible clues to serve you more of exactly what captures your attention, ultimately and often unintentionally, trapping you in an amplification loop that really narrows your worldview. Section 5, the moderation dilemma. Friction at scale.
So, we really have to ask the big question. What actually happens to this pristine, beautifully designed blueprint when millions of real people join, and the unmoderated town square turns into absolute chaos? In a tiny community, everyone kind of just polices themselves. But at a scale of millions, bad actors, spam, and harmful content completely flood the system. Well, it creates this massive governance dilemma. And every single choice here has some pretty severe trade-offs. Centralized human teams, they understand context and nuance, but they are impossibly expensive to scale up. Algorithmic filters can scan billions of posts in mere seconds, but they lack that human nuance and make hilarious or sometimes truly devastating mistakes. And community moderation distributes the workload, but it totally opens the door to targeted harassment and mob rule.
It's an incredibly delicate balancing act. If you pull the lever too far towards strict filtering, you're going to accidentally censor valid creators, effectively turning your platform into a rigid, boring ghost town. But on the flip side, push it too far toward lax moderation, and the whole place becomes a toxic wasteland that drives regular, everyday users away. Either extreme completely destroys those precious retention metrics we talked about earlier.
And that brings us to our conclusion, the Web 2 legacy. Just to quickly summarize the blueprint we took apart today, interactive capabilities built the persistent town square. Network effects and viral math stuffed that square full of people, and algorithms curated the entire experience, resulting in the incredibly powerful, highly engineered behavior modification machines of Web 2, where your attention is the ultimate commodity. As we get ready to explore decentralization in our next explainer, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative thought. Who truly owns these behavioral signals? And who should hold the power to enforce the rules? If a machine learning algorithm knows exactly how long you stare at a post, who does that data actually belong to? To explore these questions, dismantle more mental models, and dive really deep into Web3, make sure to visit forge.college. Thanks for joining us.